Hey guys, I'm Props and today I'm making the mini laser pistol from Fallout 3. The first thing I did was cut out some panels to make the base of the body, then I glued all those panels together and covered them in some cereal box cardboard just to provide a good texture for the paint to stick to. After gluing all that together, I cut out the shape of the nozzle part of the gun out of some cardboard, just scoring it so that I could fold it in place, and then I glued all of that onto the main body, making sure to cover up all of the seams with some thin cardboard. I then used my rotary tool to carve in some of the angular notches that are in the sides of the barrel, and then I covered the barrel in some thin cardboard and then started to build up the back end of the pistol to make the rectangular shape that it has, that's slightly raised from the body in the two-step pattern. I then covered the whole thing in thin cardboard and glued on some strips of thin cardboard to make some of the panel details that are in the laser pistol. I then cut out the basic shape of the handle, cutting out 4 or 5 of those and then putting a piece of wood in between it to hold the handle together and to provide some structure for the handle. I then cut out the basic shape of the pommel piece on the handle, just cutting that out of thick cardboard and then gluing on some thin cardboard and then trimming it till it fits. I then cut out some of the panel details and some of the smaller details that are on the handle and just cut those out of thin cardboard and used hot glue to glue all of those on. I then cut out the basic shape of the piece that comes out of the barrel and attaches to the handle. I just cut that out of some thick cardboard and then glued cereal box cardboard all around it to thicken it up and give it the right shape. I then cut up some faux leather and glued that all around the handle to give it the wooden leather-like texture that it has. If you want to go for a wooden texture, then you could obviously carve the handle out of wood, but I just have a lot of faux leather lying around, so I decided to wrap it in that instead. I then glued together all of the parts making up the handle, including some tubes to hold it together. I then went through and cut out all of the angular details that go on the end of the barrel, just cutting those out of some normal cardboard and then covering them in some thin cardboard to give them a nice shape, and then gluing all of those onto the end of the barrel inside of it. I drew out the pattern that I wanted to glue them on before I glued them. Then I went through and painted the body of the gun green and then the barrel and the end gray, and then I went through and dry brushed and did a black wash over the whole gun. And then I glued on some labels that I printed out on some paper and cut those out, just using super glue to glue them down. And then I glued together the whole gun, just using a liberal amount of hot glue near the end of the handle. I also glued on the yellow wire that runs through the gun, just painting an old wire that I had and then gluing that on. I also painted some of the yellow stripes that go down the sides using electrical tape since I ran out of painter's tape. Overall, I like how this gun turned out. The weathering is pretty nice and all the details are pretty spot on to what we see in the game. If you guys want to see more of my Fallout props, be sure to like and subscribe. See you guys.